100%, the challenges he faced, and how he dealt with that.
Well, first of all, thanks a lot, Julia. That was very nice, a bit nicer than it is in reality. First of all, a word of maybe apology that my slides don't look as cool as he is. But the fault.
We have fun people.
The person who is guilty for that is actually in this room, and it's not me. It's our designer. No, I'm kidding. I told him I'm going to send him the slides and he's going to fix them up, but I didn't. Anyway, my name is Guillermo. Julie tried to say that in the first try, but then everyone calls me Guy, so I'm Guy basically. And my topic today is change pain. So I would, if possible, try to make this more of an interactive session, because I will be sharing some stuff we've done, some failures we've made as well, and hopefully some learning. So feel free to interrupt me, ask stuff. So to the topic of change pain first, maybe start with an experiment. Who here is an iPhone user? Like 50%. Who here remembers when Apple removed the audio jack? Who was annoyed by that? Okay, that's everyone. And now the important part. Who thinks they will still be annoyed in 1 year? Well, a few pessimists, but many don't. And that's the whole point, I guess, of this presentation, that sometimes there are better solutions that take a while, so to speak. First, into my presentation, just a word about Scalable Capital. Maybe many of you don't know, but basically what we do is a consumer-facing product. So some people mistake us for a VC because we have capital in the name, or not. So we make a consumer app. So you find us in the App Store, you search for Scalable Capital. And basically what we are is a wealth management solution. Basically the stuff that in the past was only accessible to really, really rich people. So you could go into a private bank in Switzerland, right, and they build your portfolio, call you every quarter, and maybe change your portfolio, I don't know. And then basically what this digital wealth management thing is doing is using technology to scale that up and give it to everyone, more or less, from 10,000 euros up. So not everyone, but more people. So for you, it's basically a way to invest your savings, to stay for the long term, to basically learn maybe even a bit more about finance and all that stuff. So enough of Scalable Capital. That's it. Find it in the App Store if you want to know more. Scalable Capital. That's it. I'm a client. And this is our app before we started this whole thing. So the app is the main thing we do, right? So the whole pitch is you download an app and you get your portfolio in a few minutes. Well, you sign up in a few minutes, you get your portfolio in a few days. This was done right from the beginning of when the company was founded, which was 2014. And by the time we looked at it, so now almost a year ago, it felt, I mean, maybe we agree, maybe not, a bit outdated, style-wise. And then the process of building it was not really user-centric, to be honest, because it was really just the founders who had a lot of industry experience just coming in and say, okay, this is how we execute, and we do it. And then it was getting harder and harder to add new features. Basically, as the company grew, as we learned more and more about the users, it was just starting to become sort of a Frankenstein. So, long story short, we decided we want to redesign it, right? Makes sense. And we thought, okay, we're creative people, product people, we know how to do this stuff. So we started with a nice blank sheet of paper and started adding, well, this is my one animation. And we started adding all those things that make sense, right? Everyone is reading these books, pretty much the same books, right? You talk to customers, then you build prototypes and you iterate, then you reincorporate the feedback, all that stuff. And to be honest, I'm not going to pretend we did all of these things like really, really well, but at least we had them in mind and we did something about it, right? I think very important in our case was really consolidating the existing learnings that were already in the company, like in support, in sales, and the founders themselves. All right, so this is how we did it. Took us 9 months or so to get it done, shipped in the App Store, and it was like celebration, amazing. Amazing moment, everyone was really happy, there was champagne involved, there was everything. And this is how it looks, like a few bold decisions, we're very proud of them. We were user-centric in our process, so we did talk to users, we did get their core needs and pains, and we did react to that. And yeah, this was a great time. I didn't want to pick the really, really worst ones because they are a bit embarrassing. But I have to say this was like a week where every day I was getting like maybe 10 emails a day or so with App Store reviews. And they were pretty much all of them like this. And they were like, how is this possible? Like, you put the two apps side by side. One is ugly and old, and the other one is fresh and colorful and looks so nice and has tiles, and it's so nice. And of course, and then the 6 months after that were spent basically trying to understand like what happened. And a lot through those reviews. I mean, I had to read them one by one. I don't know. Did anyone not get the content of the reviews? Maybe because you don't speak German. One of them says, "Please bring the old app back. We love that," or something like along those lines. And there was a lot of comments about, "Please bring the old app. Like, what did you do? You changed my app." Yeah. So I guess the main conclusion or the main common thread we found was that nice blank sheet of paper we had in the beginning, that we were so proud to clear out and be designers, be creative people. It was not that empty. There isn't such thing as an empty sheet of paper if you have a product on the market, right? So it was the first failure, like first naive, I would say, step, because we had and now have more like 35,000 happy clients actually, and they use this app very, very often. That's a particularity of this business. You have your money in there, so you check it all the time. So this is daily use, and pretty much all our users are also active on a weekly basis. All our active users are active on a weekly basis, but big percentage, much higher percentage than I've ever seen in any product I've worked in, are active. And they have invested $1 billion of their own money. So that's a lot of buy-in, a lot of commitment into the product. This is just to say that, even the words we use, when we talk about this stuff, I did this to my product, and then our team did this to our product. Well, you sold the product, right? The product is not yours anymore. And this is something that in digital products is easy to forget, right? Because it's our little thing. I'm not a designer, but you're a designer here. It's my design, But you sold it, belongs to someone else. And they literally paid for it. And the fact that you can change it remotely doesn't change that fact, right? And yeah, they bought it as it was when they bought it. They were happy with that. So everything you change has to have that context. That is, I guess, the big learning here. Yeah, they build habits around it, build their own lives. I mean, if you check it every day, imagine other apps you use every day, maybe Google Maps. If they change the UI, it's like massive impact. And that's what I try to capture here, like intuitive, like this is not real science or anything like that, but intuitive equation for how much is going to be this change cost if you touch anything in your product, right? So if you're a user, let's start in the middle, like how often? If you use it very often, obviously you will be more annoyed if it's changed. And then if it's something really critical for you, for instance, in our case, if you are reviewing like which deposit amount you're putting in or something like that, versus enabling or disabling notifications, clearly the first will cause more pain if it's changed. It's the same, like, let's say a feature you use if you have some sort of like time constraint, for instance. You need to, I've experienced this myself with the Deutsche Bahn app. Like, I need to buy the ticket because I know the train is coming and it has to be now, so this is very critical. Like, pain factor really high if you swap the buttons around and it's not there the same way it was before. But then for the company, right, for us, Scalable Capital in this case, the sum of the costs is not just how much is the cost for each person, but then how many people are having that cost in total. Well, I'm not going to pretend we first wrote this on the blackboard and then look at all the features, but I think now, like, rationalizing afterwards was pretty much like how I was thinking, and then we tried to analyze, like, from all these things that we changed and other things we got feedback on, which ones were the most painful and had the highest cost. Yeah, and we found two, basically, or more, but two most important ones. The first one is we really changed the look and feel, the brand feel of the main screen of the app, the one you see every time you open it. And I think this was very painful, mostly because like the driving factor was the frequency of use, right? It's not that critical how it looks like, but you see it every day and suddenly you don't like it. And the second one, which was critical because of the freak out factor, is we came up with better metrics for your portfolio, or we thought, and we have hidden some of the metrics that used to be there about your money, how has it developed, are you losing or making money. We changed it and put it in different places, and that's, I mean, I guess it feels painful if you have, I don't know, a big percentage of your savings in there. Yeah, so that's what happened. We saw the pride and, you know, like, turn around. And we even, yeah, so this is the rollback on the brand field. If you remember, the first screen I've shown was really like dark with green highlights, very techy, almost like looking like a terminal from the 80s, I don't know, something like that. And we realized that's how people see Scalable Capital. They are the techy sort of brand and player, and that's why they are so accurate with their algorithms, and we're not. So yeah, we rolled back. But we thought, and I still believe this version is better. Because this version, you know, for each portfolio, you can have a picture that illustrates why are you saving? Like, what are you saving for, right? They make it more emotional, more personalized. You can imagine this talk going on in a product meeting, right? Yeah, I make it more emotional, and, you know, people connect to it. You know, it's in every company like that, I think. It sounds great. Like, I still like how it sounds. And we even sent an email, like, apologizing. Sorry for that. Here you can see, because we received your feedback, you can find our newest changes in version 503. So 50 was the big bang, and yeah, things changed. So we went back to the Scalable Capital look and feel. Really. That's the first thing we wrote. And then I think, well, happens, whatever. The team, myself and the team were, I guess, over it. But then I think a surprisingly positive thing happened, which is that the reviews went up by a lot, really a lot, right? The previous rating was 3.4. And people were mentioning explicitly, we are so happy that you actually listened and that you changed so quickly. This took like 3 weeks to change, right? The first reaction. That at some point we found ourselves maybe almost thinking like, this could have been a stunt. I mean, this could have been like on purpose, you know? We could have pretended we did the wrong thing and then change it back and sort of create this wow effect. That's not what happened. But that was equally surprising to me. I thought, you know, we're going to stop the bad reviews and this will slowly start picking up, and we put out some new features and slowly go back to where we want to be, over 4. But this was overnight, really, like 3 weeks after launch or something like that. So very happy about that. This is, well, my one animation, my own video, it's like a GIF. That's how the app looks like now. Just so you have an idea. This is our portfolio. Then, yeah, this part is less interesting, but basically the app lets you, as much detail as you want, track and drill down into your investment. So if you don't want to have that much detail, you can stay on the first like tile view that has the core KPIs, and you can drill deeper and deeper. Okay, so great, it happened, it worked very well. If I can maybe finalize with some take-home message, it's best practice to include that. And I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert in this, but trying to find some theoretical context for what we've seen and some context, some concepts that might have been studied or at least seen by other companies. I found this concept of the familiarity principle or mere exposure principle, which is very interesting actually. It's intuitive, I guess, but at least for what I've seen, the results are a bit more surprising than one would expect. So basically it says that if you take a group of people, right, and break them in two subgroups, and one of them you ask them maybe like just two different pictures, right? Which one do you like best? Right? And the other group have been seeing one of the pictures every day for the last 6 months. And you show them the same two pictures, and their answers are going to be skewed towards the picture they've been seeing often. And that has no logical reasoning behind it, right? So it's just a mere exposure. So just because you've seen it, you will like it, right? I mean, if you have to choose between something you don't know and one you've seen often, kind of like it, like, well, right? Like, it feels natural when you think about it, but it's quite interesting. And that's probably what explains why we're seeing so often the same ads on Facebook over and over again. They are working for these brands, right? They don't work the first time, not the second hit, maybe at the 50th hit, they work. And a question that I still have for myself is how much of this that we've seen with this redesign is really like change pain and is this effect, and it's basically like the new solution was in fact better, but people perceived it as worse, or how much was it really like that the new solution was really worse? I mean, and I think it's 50-50, like some parts were really wrong, right? So make an answer presentation maybe if I pretend it's all change pain, but knowing about change pain I think also helps to find out how much of that is actually change pain, because it's also easy to blame it on that. And in our case, I mean, particularly the change with which performance metrics you see, that was not very, very wise. Yeah, that's all I have for today. Thank you. I mean, you didn't interrupt me. You can maybe ask questions now. And I have one last moment. Your hand designers, not product manager. Thank you.
How did you realize that like the brand is the problem from the new app? Was it just like reading reviews from the store, or?
I think it was more, the process was more like reading reviews and a lot of introspection. It was like, like obviously, like look at this compared to that. Like look at our ads and look at our app. So yeah, for pretty much all the changes was like basically getting hints from the app store, or actually email feedback. We got quite a lot. We got quite intense customer feedback contact, because it's your money and people are in contact. And then self-reflection.
Did you do any kind of validation before you released?
That's the interesting part. Like, I didn't want to dig too deep in that, but we did things. For instance, like we sent out what I think is a well-designed survey before, and we got some interesting perspectives there that got into it, and we developed the actual thing, and it was in beta testing for, I want to say, 6 weeks. And this beta group included external people, right? And we sent an email to everyone, send us feedback, please what you think. Great, love it. Everyone loves it.
Existing customers?
Existing customers. So I think there is a limit. I mean, I definitely could have tested more. You could have been wiser in the way we roll it out. Actually, we roll it out really carefully, so 1%, 2%, like this normal App Store phase rollout. So by the time we stopped the rollout because of bad reviews, it was maybe at 10% only. But still, pretty sure we could have done more. But also, I feel like there's a limit to that, like because you only feel the pain once you're actually really having it every day, right? And particularly if you're not involved in the process, which sort of like breaks the whole point if you're part of a beta group, right? You kind of buy into it, okay, it's new, whatever, like the pain is gone. The day you wake up, you want to check your portfolio, the KPIs are not there, that's the pain, and it's very hard to, I feel it's very hard to avoid, to test. I'm sure there's a way. Do you have ideas?
Yeah, that's right. You checked it on design, but not really on a prototype or something that people can use.
We rolled it out to existing clients in the beta stage, so fully functional.
And they were actually saying that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And there were things, I mean, there were details we actually improved during that beta phase.
Okay.
But, yeah.
A quick question. Would you ever do a big redesign again? And I have a follow-up panel of you would love that.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Okay, so what would you do better next time?
Well, I would not forget this main learning that the sheet is never blank, right? I think there's a lot of, I think you can go really far just by making your intuition a bit better, right? Just by not forgetting obvious stuff, which is kind of the case here. It's not talking about like really refining the method, talking about missing a core piece. So I think that's the main thing I would do, and potentially investigate how could I minimize the pain in the rollout. Although I must say, I don't, right now, with what I know right now, I don't think we could have minimized it so much unless we'd have released it feature by feature, which was technically very, very hard.
Thanks for sharing this story. It really speaks from the bottom of my heart. We had this experience last year. Sebastian is also here in the room, who helped me to get this done again and to have now better ratings. We came from a strong 4 point something iOS app rating and smashed with the new app down to 2 point something. We had the best rental car app in the stores, and so we had really developers crying because of the ratings. And how we managed to do that, we had the same with Right Now. And so we say, okay, calm down, of course a lot of tactic, whatever. How we brought the reviews back, Sebastian did that job, amazing. The reviews are now back to 4.7, so better than before, but just asking at the right time for a review. So we didn't change the app, it's just questioning at the right time after something positive. So we didn't change the app, so I wouldn't be that, so App Store reviews are important, don't get me wrong, but you shouldn't freak out, because you should look at different KPIs, so it's revenue still coming, installs, uninstalls, whatever, so like daily active users, etc. So of course it's pain, but from a business perspective, it's not important.
I think it's a proxy for how much the users like the app, but yeah, it's not the only thing.
If you don't change the app and just ask the same,
it's very biased towards haters,
the
of course.
About the review in a different way, and you get 4.7, what the fuck? So.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But I think the biggest one with reviews is that it really hurts the trust, and trust is pretty much the main currency we have for acquiring clients when you're a wealth manager. So you go to the App Store and the app is like subpar, maybe the competitor. Yeah. So it's more like of a hygiene factor. I agree with that. Like it's not really like the KPI, but it should not drop below 4. That's how I see it, at least. Yeah. That's it. Thanks. Thank you.
So Jeep, thank you for having you. I guess there's still some pizza around, some beer around, so going to the networking thing. Thank you for having all here. Next product tank will be like in a few months. We'll tell you about Meetup. We don't know the date now. Thank you for having you.